was James and the Giant Peach. And believe it or not, these pages aren't full of a disgraced YouTuber cheeked up at Coachella. That guy knows what I'm talking about.
Your video taping the show. On you.
Butt lovers, welcome back. Earlier this month, I discussed Miss Spider in a lore video, and I remembered James and the Giant Peach, who has a different Miss Spider. She's a lot different. As always, my videos are made for adults. In fact, when I was a kid, I could not even watch this movie or read this book. It scared the shit out of me, so I'm glad I'm finally able to revisit this. Remember how I said my videos are made for adults? Hold on to that, because speaking of Giant Peach, I like to have fun, which is why this video is sponsored by Bellessa Boutique. Bellessa and I are giving away thousands of vibrators and gift cards for toys, so be sure to stay tuned for details on how to enter. Bellessa is on a mission for women to embrace, explore, and celebrate their sexuality unapologetically, which you know I love. Athena, enough yapping. What is this beauty you're holding before you? This is the Air Vibe. It is waterproof and has dual stimulation. It is also super flexible. Hello, pleasure called. It's for you. As you can see, it also comes in this discreet packaging. So let's hypothetically say I forgot to clean up my room and I left this on my bedside table and my mom comes in and asks me what this is. And I say, a hand mirror. I lied. I was also amazed at their catalog. It was truly expansive. We have so much to give away. Not this is mine. Sign up for our giveaway using the link in the description for a chance to win a free toy or for a discount for future purchases. Thank you so much to Bellessa for sponsoring this video. Is it too soon to say I love you? Aww. Thank you for empowering women to have fun. Now back to the video. Let's break down the book from 1961 post-it note by post-it note before we move on to the movie and more. We hear the traumatic backstory of James, the titular bitchular, right on the first page. They don't ease us into it, it's not sugar-coated, it's not subtle. Direct quote, "Then one day, James's mother and father went to London to do some shopping, and there a terrible thing happened. Both of them suddenly got eaten up, in full daylight mind you, on a crowded street, by an enormous angry rhinoceros which had escaped from the London Zoo."
What?
First of all, asshole, rhinos are vegetarians. I don't know if rhinos were endangered back in the 60s, but this anti-rhino propaganda couldn't have helped. Roald Dahl, you're on my shit list. I'll see you in hell. Also, why did they have to emphasize that there were witnesses to his parents' carnage?
In full daylight, mind you, on a crowded street.
And you're telling me this huge rhino only took out them? That sounds personal. I'm not taking sides. What did they do to make the rhino so angry? That's all I'm saying. It even continued in way too much detail. But in the long run, it was far nastier for James than it was for them. Their troubles were all over in a jiffy. They were dead and gone in 35 seconds flat. You timed it? Poor James, on the other hand, was still very much alive, and all at once he found himself alone and frightened in a vast and unfriendly world. He's 4 years old! This is so grim, no wonder when I was a kid I couldn't finish this. Series of unfortunate events type shit, except this one has a happy ending? That's debatable! James went on to live with his Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker. And they were horribly abusive. Of course they were. This kid can't catch a fucking break. Even with all this gloom, I thought about James's family tree. At first I wondered, are these two sisters? Until this line. They lived, Aunt Sponge, Aunt Spiker, and now James as well, in a queer ramshackle house. So the evil aunts are gay, huh? Rhinophobic and homophobic. The two usually go hand in hand. Roald is now my nemesis. And I wanted dirt on him. Little did I know I wouldn't have to dig too deep.
Problematic.
First things first, before we get into his actions, would you trust a guy that looks like this?
No!
He just looks sinister. I don't know. I don't trust him right off the bat. Oh no, Athena, don't judge a book by its cover. Okay, let's judge the book by its anti-Semitism and racism and the fact that he cheated on his wife while she was ill. Looking up his controversies on Wikipedia, it's actually really strange because before he gets into all the disgusting stuff, first he is criticizing an apartheid state, which... valid. But then he goes on to say, oh, you know the big bad guy from World War II? He didn't pick his targets for no reason. And I'm like, you fully fucking lost me. Go away. You did not cook. You burnt the whole kitchen down. What the fuck? Sorry I had to censor myself when talking about the big bad World War II man. Usually I'd just say his name, but for the first time ever, just this week, a video of mine got age restricted, so I'm really trying to be careful. And my sponsor for this video is not doing me any favors. Well, it does do me favors, but not in this way. Roald also wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and the first depictions of Oompa Loompas were very racist. After Roald Dahl's first wife, Patricia Neal, had a stroke, he began an 11-year affair with a woman named Felicity. And Felicity sounds really fucking proud of herself. Direct quote from The Guardian, "Did she feel guilty? Yes and no. It was a particularly difficult situation because Pat had a stroke and was not well. I don't know how he managed to bring up these children, run a house, do the school runs, and write this major volume of work. He was so worn out, so needing to be looked after, which of course Pat couldn't do, so there was a terrible pain about that. It's a very difficult thing. It's tough on everyone."
Fuck you, Felicity!
Patricia Neal, Roald Dahl's wife, was the last to find out about his affair. Her children signed off on it. Felicity said it was dreadful because we never thought we could get married. We thought we'd keep it a secret. No divorce in the world is happy, and I think a husband falling for a younger woman must be the worst of all. Like she's still patting herself on the back. The article is even titled, "From the Love of Roald Dahl's Life." I am having beef with an alive 80-year-old. I don't care, she sucks. Back to James's sapphic evil aunts. As they demand James does all the yard work and threaten to beat him, Sponge also has the time to perform a whole soliloquy about how beautiful she is. And this is after the narrator explained how hideous they are, with way too much emphasis on their weight. Although I will say, Sponge and Spiker are the original Booba and Kiki. Booba and Kiki demonstrates the association between words and shapes. Which of these shapes do you think is Booba, and which one do you think is Kiki? A study showed that majority of people chose the more rounded one as Booba and the sharper one as Kiki. With that in mind, which one do you think is Sponge, and which one do you think is Spiker? I'll give you a second. Of course the bigger one is Sponge and the skinny one is Spiker. This stranger danger man approaches James in the most unnerving way possible. Direct quote, "Come closer to me, little boy," beckoning to James with his finger. "Come right up close to me and I'll show you something wonderful." If someone ever says that to you, first of all, pepper spray. Second of all, run. Why does the picture of this character look exactly like Shel Silverstein? "So what's in the fucking bag?" Well, let me read you this monologue. "Crocodile tongues, 1,000 long slimy crocodile tongues, boiled up in the skull of a dead witch for 20 days and nights, with the eyeballs of a lizard, and the fingers of a young monkey, the gizzard of a pig, the beak of a green parrot, the juice of a porcupine, and 3 spoonfuls of sugar. Stew for another week, and then let the moon do the rest." What concerns you the most about that? Me personally, I can't stop thinking about juice of a porcupine. The old man warns James not to let the magic escape. But in the very next chapter, James trips and the magic is released. "Oh no, my one weakness, my 2 left feet." Wouldn't that be 2 weaknesses because 2 feet? "I also can't count because my abusive aunts never enrolled me in school. They're my legal guardians because my parents died." Oh, kid. That's way more than 1 weakness. I counted 6 in that sentence alone. Because of this magic that seeped into the ground, a tree that never grew fruit all of a sudden sprouted this gargantuan peach. And guys, the way they described this peach, I was salivating. The skin of the peach was very beautiful, a rich buttery yellow with patches of brilliant pink and red. This imagery is fantastic, especially when little people aren't getting caught in the crossfire. Roald Dahl, let me crave a plump peach in peace. The evil aunts decided to turn the peach into an attraction to make money, kind of like Kim Kardashian. James found a hole in the peach, and when he crawled inside, he found the pit. And for whatever reason, this book calls a peach pit a peach stone. Huh? Is that a British thing? Inside the pit, I'm not calling it a stone, he met giant bugs. A grasshopper, a centipede, a ladybug, a spider, an earthworm, a silkworm, and a glowworm. James is horrified, and to make matters worse, they keep talking about how hungry they are while staring at him. The spider, who happened to be a female spider, opened her mouth and ran a long black tongue delicately over her lips. Oh my god. They had to make sure we knew that the spider was a girl spider before they wrote her in the most sexually charged way. Anyway, the bugs realized why James was scared, and they assured him they don't eat humans. The centipede, despite being drawn as a cute little old man, is actually a jerk. Lovable, but a jerk. I was also surprised at how many times he was able to say ass. I mean, he was only able to say it 2 times, but that might be more than I'm able to say it now because YouTube is on my app. behind. Regardless, children's stories in the 60s were a different breed. I also had no idea that glowworms are just flightless fireflies. I always say I can't believe I learned something from kids' media, but I gotta start believing it because it keeps happening. The centipede chomped the peach stem, detaching it from the tree, causing the peach to roll away, taking them to faraway places so they can be free. All of them are excited about this except for the earthworm, who's a bit of a buzzkill. When the font in this book becomes italic, we get a little mini poem. It happened when Sponge was complimenting her own looks, and it's happening again now. We may see a creature with 49 heads who lives in the desolate snow, and whenever he catches a cold, which he dreads, he has 49 noses to blow. Okay, wrap it up, Dr. Seuss. This is how I imagine it would be if Roald Dahl and Dr. Seuss ever met. From one anti-Semitic cheater to another, bars. Oh, by the way, the peach killed the two evil ants. Bury your gaze trope much? Direct quote, the peach rolled on, and behind it, Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker lay ironed out upon the grass as flat and thin and lifeless as a couple of paper dolls cut out of a picture book. You've heard of Flat Stanley? Get ready for Dead Stanley. The peach lands in the sea and all the bugs start spiraling about how they're gonna drown and starve. But James points out that the peach is floating and that, well, it's a peach. They can just eat that. And the peach is so delicious, just like I thought it would be. I'm so jealous. It's so good they even begin to sing. And I just realized it's very obvious I never finished reading the book, otherwise I wouldn't have been surprised that the movie was a musical. It was written as a musical from the start. Sharks surrounded the peach, and the bugs begged James, a toddler, to save them. I think this empowers James, but it just reads as pathetic. They are way more competent and, in my opinion, likable in the movie. Spoiler alert, I like the movie a lot more. I thought you were gonna catch it. Stop crying, stop crying. James found a way to make the peach take flight. He creates rope with the help of Spider and the silkworm, and he reels in about 1,000 seagulls by using the earthworm as bait. Why wouldn't they just use the giant peach as bait? Seagulls will go after anything, not just worms. This is the most unrealistic part of this whole book. CinemaSins has nothing on me. A lot of this book is just taken up by the formula of, James, come up with a plan! Help us! Help us! Okay, here's my plan. That'll never work. Poppycock. I'll believe it when Peach flies. One perfectly executed plan later. James, you're a genius, you're an inspiration to us all, and you should win the Nobel Peace Prize. More like the Nobel Peach Prize. Oh, the kid's got jokes too. Don't ever change. Then we get a cutaway gag to Queen Elizabeth's ship. Yes, indeed, the book got more British. And I say it's a cutaway gag because it doesn't interact with the plot at all. One of the Queen's guards just looks through binoculars and explains what he sees on the peach, all these giant bugs, and the other guards are like, yeah, he lost it. He's been drinking on the job again. That's literally what they say. Silly and kooky, are you gonna catch it this time? Okay, I missed. Chapters 24 and 25 are just dedicated to learning animal facts. Like, did you know a green grasshopper has ears on the sides of their tummy? And we also hear about the torture that Sponge and Spiker put all the bugs through. They're like the ant bully levels of cruel without actually killing any of them. How did they miss all of these bugs? The centipede falls off the side of the peach and into the water, and James saves him, I want to say off screen, but there is no screen, outside of the book. We don't hear James's thoughts as he swims through the water. We just hear the bugs all worried about him. The earthworm, though, is pretty pleased that the centipede might die, which, I don't know, I think it's supposed to be funny, but I thought they were supposed to be a family. While they're in the sky, they encounter the cloud people. And one of my favorite things about the cloud people is watching them create different types of weather. They pelt hail at our main characters. After the centipede provokes the cloud people, you'd think after his almost death, he'd be humbled, but he's still acting like a shit. I especially love when the cloud people were making a rainbow and the peach accidentally crashed into it. Chapter 34, they arrive at New York City, which they decide is their final destination. The peach crash lands on top of the Empire State Building, and once they get down to the ground, James shares the giant peach with all the residents of New York, and he introduces all of the humans to his terrifyingly large bug friends. I'm so sorry to say, this is unrealistic. If the NYPD were actually approached with giant bugs, even if a 6-year-old said, hey guys, these are my friends, you know how they'd react? Kids, stand back! But no, James can't lose his second family. That would be a bit too much. I'll tell you the real fate of all of his bug friends once we get to the end of the movie so we can see how they differ.
Peach.
The first shot immediately is a surrealist dreamscape. We see a young live-action boy on a tiny beach with a tiny lighthouse skipping stones. The narrator talks about James as if he is a specimen on Animal Planet. We see James Trotter's parents, and they were so sweet. They really make a point to show us how happy his life was before they rip it away from us, in the most brutal way possible. But something else I enjoy is the little family looking at the clouds, and how James was able to see the shape his father pointed out in the clouds when he changed his perspective. Foreshadowing of the massive perspective shift to come. What if bugs were big? Would they be scary then? Yes, more so actually. The family dreams about New York City. They never established New York City as a dream of James's in the book, so I thought the order might have been switched. They talked about New York as if they were gonna go right then, so I thought maybe the rhino was gonna escape from the Central Park Zoo. A friend of Madagascar's Alex the Lion, perhaps. But no, the beast appeared out of thin air. The dreamlike clouds they admired soon turned into a nightmare, and before James knew it, he was at his Aunt Spiker and Aunt Sponge's house. A young boy living in a dark, small space being overworked by his dead parents' siblings, and he's also British. Harry Potter was plagiarized? James Trotter, the boy who lived. Damn, even their last names sound the same. On top of threatening to beat James up like they did in the book, they also laughed about his parents' death, threatened he would be next, and deprived him of food. So they were even worse here. James, in his starved and loopy state, does not cry and cry like he did in the book, but instead he befriends a very clearly poisonous spider, and then he sings off-key about how his name is James. It's still really sad. He still dreams of flying to the city, and he even makes this cool paper balloon out of the New York brochure. The next morning, James saved the spider from his evil aunts. Do you guys say aunts or aunts? Anyway, his connection to the bugs prior to the magic is something that's never explored in the book. The book was a little less linear. The bugs kind of appeared out of nowhere in the books to make it more jarring, a more Alice in Wonderland type approach. But it was at the cost of this emotional arc. When the creepy man came up to James to offer him the magic, he doesn't just say, "Come here, little boy," he actually says James's name. He seems to have a lot of forbidden knowledge, making him more than a magical little weirdo. This dude is a god. This freaky weirdo who might be a god says the same monologue about where the glowing magic comes from, but the crocodile tongues don't come out of a random bag this time. It instead came from the paper balloon James littered the night before. We also catch a glimpse of the magic man's glass eye. I don't know why they added this detail. The other visuals in the movie are a lot cooler. I feel like they could have come up with something more interesting that matches the creepiness of the scene. James's reaction to this is so big, like, my guy, calm down, it's a white contact lens. Okay, I just listened to what he said in this moment. It's when he says, "Let the moon do the rest." So, is that supposed to be the moon? Because that is pretty cool. I just wish it was more than a contact lens. The magical man god shows James New York City and tells him that all of his dreams can come true with this magic. They're really establishing New York City as the goalpost so that this journey makes a bit more sense than it did in the book. The titular bitchular of the giant peach that happened to be my nickname in college, I made that up, doesn't appear until 15 minutes in, and it played out exactly like how it did in the book. He dropped the magic, that's why it got to the tree and bugs. The ants make a lot of money, and James finds a tunnel in the peach. But not before tasting some for himself, and again, they make it look amazing. As he crawls through the tunnel, it reminds me of Coraline. He has this transformation into his stop-motion form, which is amazing. I love the artistic direction of this movie. Then we meet the bugs. Right off the bat, there is no silkworm. They got rid of her. I understand why she added nothing. In the arms of an angel. I will say, I'm kind of pissed they didn't add an ant character like the bug ant. Think of the never-ending jokes. Hey, Sponge and Spiker, give us ants a bad name. As for the others, they really leaned into Centipede shitheadedness. I love the thick Brooklyn accent they gave him. Ladybug is a sweet little grandma. And Miss Spider is, how you say, how do I say this?
Oh no, he's hot!
The chemistry between her and Centipede right at the start was palpable. They bicker, he tries to pinch her. I thought I was crazy, and I am, for different reasons. But I called that shit, you'll see. And while we're here already questioning my sanity, the grasshopper is hot too. Anyone else? This is a safe space. Cut to our second song. That's the life for me. In this song, they sing about where they want to escape to. It's a bop. That My Name is James song was not a good indication of the music in this movie. All the other songs are great. The song ends and we hear the evil ants outside of the peach. And this is where Centipede bites through the stem and the peach rolls away. In the movie, no one co-signed this decision. In the book, they all knew they were going to do that. Here, not so much. Also, Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker do not die. Their car gets flattened with them inside, but they survive. Also, while the peach is rolling away, it picks up a fence, creating a really cool staircase along the outside. Now they're in the water, like they were in the book. And the way they animate this peach on the sea is gorgeous. I'm gonna keep mentioning how much I love the visuals. A movie is the best medium for this story. Also, Peach on the Sea sounds like an alternate title for the song Cake by the Ocean. Think about it. James finds the New York City map and they sing a mini That's the Life for Me reprise after they all realize they all want to go to New York City. This is when Centipede volunteers navigating for the trip, and he also brags about all his past travels. When they realize they can't steer the peach or control where they're going, that's when James comes up with the seagull plan. The worm is way more of a victim here. He doesn't antagonize the centipede, and the centipede definitely antagonizes him. The book made the worm seem more classist and aggressive, but here he's just pathetic. After James catches the first seagull, we see this giant mechanical shark emerge from the water. I don't know why they changed the real sharks to this fake one, spitting out his aunt's awful fish head meals. Does this represent his abuse of ants? Are they actually the ones controlling the mechanical shark? No one knows. They catch enough seagulls to fly away, and the group of bugs is seen as a lot more helpful. They don't beg James to come up with a plan, they help him come up with a plan along the way. The grasshopper leaps into the air to catch the getaway birds, and the ladybug hit the mechanical shark with her purse. So they get away from that creepy mechanical shark that may or may not be the ants. Yay. I love the scene of the grasshopper and centipede fighting over food. It seems like a brotherly fight. The whole found family is way more believable here. We have James empowering the worm, and James reconnecting with the spider after he realized that that was his first friend. And he encourages her to make more. There's way more payoff. That's what it is. The next song is of them eating the peach, and this is the only time they took lyrics straight from the book. And mind you, these lyrics never made sense to me. For example, Grasshopper sang about how he ate noodles made of poodles, but he said he's a vegetarian. But here in the movie, it makes way more sense. Because it's clearly a drinking song. They are getting absolutely wasted on this peach. Lucy and Goosey. Look at them tearing it up. Good God. From this point on, the events that take place in the movie are completely different than the events that take place in the book. We have this awesome dream/nightmare sequence that's animated using photo puppetry. You know I love photo puppetry, and it's utilized perfectly. We see James as a caterpillar, and his growth and metamorphosis are being stifled by his ants, who spray insecticide on him. The final image before he wakes up is the rhino lightning cloud coming for him. James wakes up to snow on his face. He goes outside and sees that they're surrounded by icebergs. And Grasshopper and Centipede are fighting because Centipede lied about all the places he traveled to and he got them lost. When Centipede realized he crushed the dreams of all of his friends, this sparks his character development. He risks his life jumping into the icy water to swim to a ship to retrieve a compass. When the others realize what he's done, Miss Spider and James go to help him. We also get this insane line.
He's committed pesticide.
This movie has no right to be as funny as it actually is. When Miss Spider and James are swimming through the water, we see a statue of Sponge and Spiker. Does this represent that they're an ever-looming presence in James's life, or were they just trying to jump scare me? Either way, well done. Centipede has to fight skeleton pirates, one of which is actually Jack Skellington.
Skellington?
I guess this is a good time to mention that this movie is produced by Skellington Productions, named after the very same Jack Skellington from The Nightmare Before Christmas, which was their first movie. One of the founders of Skellington Productions is Tim Burton, which makes a lot of sense. But what doesn't make sense is that James and the Giant Peach is actually the reason that this company went under. That's right, James and the Giant Peach was a box office failure despite being an incredible movie. I think it was a classic that needed time to marinate, because I think a lot of the kids out there were like me. I think a lot of kids were scared by this. The Nightmare Before Christmas also had a much stronger hook for kids. Think about it. A Halloween mascot that's jealous of the success of Santa and Christmas? Kids would want to hear about how that ends. So even if they are creeped out, you still got their foot through the door. Giant bugs and a man-eating rhino is much more niche, I'd say. Back to the dead pirate fight. Another skeleton sailor we see is Donald Duck. I did a double take, but Disney really let them go there. before shutting down their production company, but whatever. Centipede not only got the compass, but saved Miss Spider and James from being attacked. When they see Centipede's hat float up to the surface, they think he died and they mourn him. Worm mourns him too, unlike the book where he was celebrating. Centipede, who did not die, emerged from the water and got smooches from Miss Spider. Lucky bastard. The bugs sing the song Family to James, where they tell him that they love him. It's so sweet. I adore it. The visuals, however, I cannot fully grasp. They're in space, and there are stars that shoot around them, maybe indicating that James's wish came true? Then we see the peach in a solar system display, showing that this found family is his whole world now. But then James grabs the tiny peach off of that display and turns it into glitter. Friendship is magic? I don't know. I also don't know why Miss Spider in this song quotes the Bible. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust? Okay, I just looked up the quote. It's about resurrection. James's family was resurrected. Maybe they just thought that line went hard and that the visuals were cool. They see New York City through the clouds and celebrate before the rhino storm cloud appears. James sends all of his bug friends up into the rafters, and we find out that this storm cloud rhino is powered through fear. So when James repeatedly yells that he's not afraid anymore, it eventually disappears. This line also stuck out to me. Let's go, they're changing the narrative of this stupid book. I love rhinos. However, in this storm, this fence ladder gets picked up by the wind and cuts all the seagull's strings, separating James from his friends. The Empire State Building scene was way too long. Just like in the book, the peach lands on the Empire State Building. But unlike the book, the bugs are nowhere to be seen. James transforms back into his normal self, and Sponge and Spiker arrive in their smashed car that they drove through the ocean to try and get the peach and James back. James sticks up to them like he did with the rhino. That's when his bug family descends from the sky, proving to all of New York City that James is not a liar. The evil ants get their comeuppance in the form of being tied up and then taken to jail. And James is really enjoying their torture. Tighter! Tighter! He commands as New York City cheers. It is very bizarre. Now let's compare endings. In both the book and the movie, New York City eats the giant peach, and James and his friends live in the pit. In the book, the centipede was made the vice president in charge of sales of a high-class firm of a boot and shoe manufacturer, which makes sense because actually he was obsessed with his boots in the book. But because they got rid of his boots obsession, in the movie, they just made him win a race. I really liked the headline here. I'm gonna say the movie won me over there. I think the movie ending for the centipede was better. The worm, with his lovely pink skin, was employed by a company that made women's face creams, and that's the same in the movie. So the book and the movie was the same with the worm's ending of a skincare brand. I thought that was cute. The silkworm and Miss Spider in the book set up a factory together and made ropes for tightrope walkers. As you know, the silkworm doesn't exist in the movie. In the movie, the spider opens up a club. I don't think she'd do that. She's kind of a loner. I more so see her making ropes for people, so I'll give the book that. The grasshopper playing in a symphony was both in the book and the movie. That's perfect for him. The book really lost me here. The ladybug married the head of the fire department. She married a human? I like her ending in the movie much better, where she is a nurse that helps deliver babies. I love that for her. That's perfect for her. She's so maternal. And the glowworm was the light in the Statue of Liberty in both. No notes. Oh, and also in the movie, the Magic Man appears at the end. He's in the crowd shot of NYC when Spiker and Sponge keep cutting him off and accusing him of being a liar. He just shouts, "Let the kid speak!" which helped empower James. Don't know what to make of that, but it was a pretty funny full circle moment. Holy shit, there's more. I thought when people said musical, they were talking about the musical movie. But no, there's a staged production. The Magic Man opens the musical with "Right Before Your Eyes" to assure us that the sadness will lead to happiness and magic and unexpectedness. It's giving Cat in the Hat and Seussical, a narrator truly just here for the chaos. This performer also absolutely killed it. I also love the scenery choice. This Magic Man is in a director's chair with a costume rack. That's a fun detail, and it's also further proof that points to him being God. When we finally see James, we see the rhino attacking his parents in a dream. So this interpretation plus the movie makes me feel like the evil ants just told him that the rhinos attacked his parents. Just for, psychological torture reasons. You know how when a kid's pet dies, sometimes parents will say, oh, they moved to Florida to make the kid feel better? This is the exact opposite of that. In this version, James befriends the ladybug and grasshopper first. Because we never actually met his parents or witnessed the happy life he had before, it's very tell, don't show, which I hate. The James solo song in this musical is better than My Name is James, but not by much. I don't have a family, right? No! Don't hate them! We get a Spiker and Sponge duet where they bribe the police to turn the other cheek. And also we find out that this legal guardianship of James was actually forced upon them. I don't think that's how that works. But they come around to it once they realize that James will be their property. That's the word they use. They really play them up as comedic relief, but they're not. The creepy magic man is also significantly more aggressive in the musical. He keeps shouting for some reason.
Come on, James! Only you have the power to change the course of your wretched little life.
The Magic Man and James make the potion together. That's another song of them listing the ingredients. And the ingredients are different from the ones they list in the book and movie, but they're equally concerning, I'd say. What was that? Chopped up kangaroo? I don't want to suspend my disbelief for that. This show also has an unnecessarily huge ensemble. I guess they just needed that for the New York City crowd shot at the end? Hold on to that. Now there's a song sung by all the reporters, taking a picture of the giant peach right after it grows. And instead of just climbing into the peach, like in every other version, James says he got his arm stuck. I don't know why they made that change. I thought he was just gonna be like, I wonder what's inside. And and then it cuts to black. Whatever. It took us 34 minutes to get to the bugs. That's almost double the time it took in the movie. Did we really need that reporter song? The set of inside the peach would have been cute if our characters weren't confined to that space. They kept Miss Spider's French accent. Pretty much all the bug characters are consistent, except for Miss Ladybug and Centipede. Ladybug, instead of being a cute little old lady, was kind of uppity and proper, and wanted to be referred to as royalty. And instead of Centipede being a fun-loving, snarky, shit-eating asshole, he's just a complainer. And he's also extremely humanist because his entire family was killed by humans. Join the club. All the other bugs shared that their family was killed by humans too, but they're still not assholes to James. What makes you so special? Also, the glowworm is gone. We went from 7 bugs in the book to 6 bugs in the movie to 5 bugs in the play. Wow, humans really do keep killing off bugs. The musical is watered down in other ways as well. The humor doesn't hit for me, there's no surreal visuals. The songs don't make me feel closer to the characters. This is by far the weakest format of this story. I can already see someone in my comments going, but I was the worm in the 8th grade and it was the best time of my life. That's great. I'm happy for you. It's still not a good show. Oh great, they're singing about how they're on the water. Every song since the first number has went downhill, exactly the opposite of the movie. And for whatever reason, the play thinks we want more Sponge and Spiker. We cut back to them to hear about their plan to get the peach back. And once we're back to the bugs, there's a painfully slow song where they're singing James a lullaby about how his parents are always with him. No drinking song, no genuine fun, no bonding, just this. We're sorry your parents died. I can't believe that took up 10 minutes of the play. Wow, we cut back to the ants again, talking on a boat with the narrator. They don't even drive their crushed car. Actually, they don't even get crushed at all. They took everything fun out of the story. Where is the cartooniness? Now that we're an hour in, we finally get to the seagull plot because, spoiler alert, that's the only thing they do. God, they're so cute. Aww. On the bright side, the worm is incredible. Slay. The puppet seagulls are also cute, but when this giant bar descended, I thought, oh my god, when they lift it up again, there's gonna be like 100 seagulls. That'll be so cool. But this is what happens instead. Watch with me, it's playing on the screen right now. Did you catch that? They attached 2 ropes to the ceiling to show that they're in the air right now, despite the fact that the background didn't change at all. Yeah, I'm not immersed at all, but you know who is immersed? Centipede. In the water. He fell off the peach. What a beach. After James saved him, because he's such a grouch in this version, I thought they were gonna pull a beginning of The Incredibles on us. I didn't want to be saved. And by the end, they throw out everything we know about the characters. The worm goes, "Hey everyone, look!" The worm is blind. I just realized I failed to mention that, but that's a major part of his character, okay? You're just gonna have to trust me. And when we finally land in New York City, Sponge and Spiker have no reaction to this kid's giant bug friends. No one does. Hey, wait a minute! Where's the giant New York City crowd? And the Peach runs over Spiker and Sponge at the end? There's a second Peach? At the end, they revealed that Grasshopper and Ladybug got married. They have no chemistry. And the worm also reveals that he became an activist. More like James and the woke Peach, I don't know. We beefed with the author. More like we peached with the author. We laughed. We were scared. I'm really glad I revisited this. What books or movies scared you as a child that you now love? Have a great day, butt lovers. Bye!